Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherry, and welcome back to another episode of Alleged Actually. Y'all, today is Wednesday. No. Yeah, it's Wednesday. I don't know what day it is, y'all. It's the holidays. I have been in the throes of getting ready for Thanksgiving. I trust you all have been doing the same. I wanted to hop on here and do a quick recap of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't know if you guys watched it last night. Another really good episode. Really good episode. We get a chance to learn a little more about new housewife Bose. She has an amazing story. Y'all, they have just been getting it so right on the Housewives. What an amazing addition. Y'all, she is perfection. Black Barbie at its finest. So we get a chance to hear from her a little more on this episode, and I was here for all of it. So, really quick, welcome. If you're new over here, we do reality TV show recaps and we do pop culture segments. We do a little bit of interviews, anything regarding pop culture, reality shows, all that good stuff. This is what we do over here. So, welcome. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button so you'll know when I go live or drop new content. Also, make sure you please comment. We love to hear from you. We love the interaction and we enjoy the banter. So, feel free, slide in those comments. Okay. So, I don't know how you guys felt about last night's episode. I thought, again, it was really good. We get more into the showdown, if you will, of Dorit and Kyle. And so that's basically where we start off. We pick up where we left off, if you will. We're back over at Sutton's surrealist party where Kyle and Dorit had sat down to kind of hash out their issues, their fallout, what have you. And child, Dorit is activated. And y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I'm here for it. I think Dorit is making a lot of sense. She feels like she has been a good friend to Kyle and kind of been in Kyle's shadow in the sense of, she's had Kyle's back and, even aligned with Kyle on some things that maybe she agreed with, maybe she didn't. But we saw her last season, and that's something that we haven't really talked about on my last recap that I kind of wanted to highlight is last season when Kyle was going through the announcement of the separation with Mauricio and all of the hype with her and Morgan Wade. Now, she still hasn't come out 100% and validated whether she was actually in a romantic relationship with Morgan or a friendship with Morgan. Either way, it was clear that her and Morgan Wade were close in some capacity. Now, if you remember last season, you kind of see Dorit take the back seat and you see her looking actually quite hurt, maybe jealous, maybe all of the above, where Kyle kind of latched on to Morgan and kind of left Dorit out there. And so that was the first indication there was trouble in paradise with their friendship. So back to last night's episode. They're sitting there. Dorit is activated. When they sit down to talk, she's determined she is not going to give it to Kyle unless Kyle comes with her with the authentic truth so they can really have a conversation. So Kyle tells her she wanted to talk to see if they can get to the other side of things. Kyle says, "You're not even acting like yourself anymore," because as you recall last week when she sat down, Dorit was like, "Hey, nah," when she came and said, "Oh, I want us to try to get through things." And, Dorit was like, what are we even arguing about? And when she brings up what it is, Dorit has kind of a smirk on her face because she believes it's something different. And we find out what that something different is. Dorit's like, "Look, I am not putting up with your ish anymore, Kyle. And that's why it may appear that I'm not looking like who you recognize." And Kyle's like, "Look, we both have our feelings about what happened and we both have our sides." Dorit said, "Our history counts. And that's why when she went on Amazon Live, y'all, meaning Kyle, and she downplayed the friendship by saying that Dorit says that we travel together all the time. We went on one trip. And then she kind of pedals back a little and says, well, we've been on a couple that I recall. She just really kind of like played into Dorit's face, like, girl, it wasn't even that serious. We aren't friends like that. And that hurt hurt Dorit's feelings. And Dorit says, we had so many memories, so many intimate moments, and it felt like she took 8 years of deep sisterly friendship and flushed it down the toilet. So, as you can imagine, Dorit is hurt, and rightfully so. I mean, we have watched their friendship blossom over the few years that they've been friends, and we've watched them season by season become close. Their husbands were close, and I've seen pictures of them on social media where they've been on trips together and lots of posts together. So it did appear that they were close. Well, Kyle comes back and says that because when they were at BravoCon and the question was rate the Richards sisters, you know, um, by which one she was the closest to or which one that she was the best friends with. And they go to a clip at BravoCon where she pauses for a minute. Dorit kind of, like nudges her and she drops her, or Kyle nudges her and Dorit drops her shot, kind of spills it on herself and says, well, it's definitely not going to be Kyle is number one. Kyle's number three. And now it's looking like Kathy's got the number one spot. Very silly. She was clearly joking. And Dorit says, Kyle, that was a joke. And she was like, that used to be what we did with each other. We used to laugh and joke a lot. And then she says that Dorit also, when Kyle was they were both at BravoCon, that when Kyle got emotional, when she was talking about things with her and Mauricio at this point, it was just coming out that they were separating, and the question was about their relationship. And not to keep saying it because I say a lot, oh yeah, I was there. Well, I actually was there for that panel. I was sitting in the audience, and Kyle did get real emotional when the question was asked about how things were with her and Mauricio, and she did start to cry. And she says that later, while they were in Vegas, Dorit told someone that Kyle turns on the tears for attention, and that hurt Kyle's feelings. So Kyle asked Dorit why at this point is she smiling, because while Kyle is telling her side of why she's upset, then Dorit is kind of just sitting there smirking. And she says, you're doing exactly what I thought you would do. She's like, you must think I'm an idiot. She said, this absolutely not why you went on Amazon Live and said those things about our friendship. And Kyle kind of looks off like, I'm caught. And she proceeds to say, y'all, that what she's really mad about is when Dorit was on Watch What Happens Live. And she was asked the question about if Dorit and Kyle's relationship had been affected by Kyle and Morgan's relationship. And her response was, she feels like the closer Kyle gets to Morgan, the further she gets from her. And she was on Watch What Happens Live with Gertie. And you see Gertie kind of go, ooh, and take a sip of her drink like, child, that was some tea, right? So Kyle didn't like it, because at that point, Kyle was still kind of ultra secretive about what was going on with her and Morgan and kind of leaving it very coy. She did the video with Morgan as Morgan's love interest, and they seemed to be inseparable. So I guess she felt like somehow Dorit, was being disloyal by even answering that question that way, but that was Dorit's truth. So, So Dorit said that after that Watch What Happens Live, she felt like Kyle took the stance of, now I'm going to show her. And Dorit in confessional said if Kyle could be really honest and say that, look, I'm pissed off and what you said caused me to be in trouble with Morgan and it caused all kinds of issues. And just tell me that she was upset about that. She's like, then we could have an honest conversation and then we could move on. And she said that Kyle basically after that isolated her and didn't speak to her for months, y'all. And she's like, why not come to me and say, Dorit, I'm mad about this. Dorit, you upset me over this. And Dorit actually has a good point, y'all. That's what I'm saying. Watching last night, it gave some more insight, some more meat, if you will, on the real beef. Because Kyle's stance that it was when you had to say rate the Richard sisters 1 through 3 on, who you're the closest with. And she could tell Dorit was joking. And then to say that it had to do with that or, with some other stuff that she said, the BravoCon thing about when she cried or whatever, or one would suspect that there was more to it than that. So I am inclined to believe Dorit's account of why they fell out. And the fact that Kyle would isolate her and ice her out certainly is not something new. Heck, we've seen her and Kathy not speak for months. Her and her sister Kim not speak for months. Kyle, when she feels like someone has done her wrong or put her on the spot, she does kind of dispose of people. That's a Kyle thing. So Kyle admits that she didn't have it in her to come to Dorit and tell her, I'm pissed, I'm upset, which corroborates Dorit's side of things. And that's my point. When Dorit broke it down for her, really Kyle couldn't say anything, but she's like, why didn't you just come to me and say, that's what I'm really mad about? And all Kyle had back in response was, I just didn't have it in me. So Dorit said, no, you were cold and you were distant. And Kyle was like, I was struggling, Dorit. And Dorit says, it doesn't mean if you're struggling that you can treat me like crap. And I agree. If that's your friend, you can be struggling. Two things can be true at the same time, right? You can be struggling, going through a tough time, but that doesn't mean you have to treat your friends like crap. And I agree with you, Dorit. Kyle says she's been a good effing friend and she doesn't care what she says. And just because you say it doesn't make it true. That's Kyle's perspective. If Dorit's sitting in front of her saying, you treated me pretty bad, you made me feel like I don't matter, you iced me out, and you're saying, oh no, despite what you say, I've been a good effing friend to you. That's your side of things. But Dorit said that a effing friend, when they're mad, they tell their friend that they're mad and they work through it. And Kyle says the last 2 years have been the hardest 2 years of her life. And she was like, can you give me a little effing grace? And Dorit said, I think I did. I think I did a little bit too much. And when you get to that point that you can go publicly and say that I exaggerated our friendship, that's when grace time is over, honey. Dorit is all out of grace to give, child. She ain't got a grace to give, Kyle. She is through. Y'all, I'm here for it. I'm not mad at Dorit. Sometimes it gets to the point where friendships become seemingly one-sided. And is that a real friendship? Y'all weigh in the comments and let me know. I don't know about y'all, but I've been through some things with some girlfriends at times where it seems like, wow, I don't understand this friendship. Seems pretty one-sided. And I think that's how Dorit is feeling. Honey, after that, when she just had no graces to give, Kyle got up and walked away. And Dorit says, you know what? That's exactly what I expected her to do. So that's what she did. In confessional, Kyle says, if I've been a bad friend, just decide to say this. Now, no, she basically says, I've been a bad friend and you just decide to say this now because I'm mad at you. How convenient. In other words, she's like, Dorit, if I was so bad, why then are you saying it now that I'm the one mad at you? Wouldn't you have come to me before then? And she's like, no, you hurt me. And now you have to create something to justify your behavior. This is not a friendship. That's Kyle's perspective. Like I said, child, I personally am on Dorit's side. Y'all have to let me know Who you rocking with? We did a poll on Alleged Actually community post, and Dorit slammed Kyle. I think it was something like 83% in Dorit's favor. But y'all let me know what you think. So Garcelle comes out to check on Kyle, and I'm sorry, y'all, I got a text. I got a little sidetrack there. Got folks coming in for Thanksgiving. I'm sure you do too. So it's taking a little quick break so I can get on here and give you all this good recap. But yeah, life is still life. But Kyle says it's impossible to check on her. And Gar says, well, I know that, but what happened? Oh, no, I'm sorry, y'all. See, that's what distraction gets you. Garcelle comes out to check on Kyle, and asks Kyle if she's okay. And Kyle says it's impossible to talk to her. Garcelle says, I know that, but what happened? And Kyle says she's never seen her act like that before. It feels like she was talking to an imposter. And back over there with Dorit. Dorit says she's going to get going, and Erica comes to check on her. And Erica asks what happened, and she said, remember when I told you that I needed to have an honest, real conversation? And she was like, yeah. She's like, well, that's not what I got. And by this time, Bose has come over to join them, and Dorit said, all I got was a load of BS. And she tells Erica she's tired of it. In confessional, Dorit says she feels fed up. She's fed up with the friendship. She's fed up with the marriage. She's fed up with having felt the way that she felt. And she's not going to keep her mouth shut anymore about anything, because at the end of the day, she don't give a F, child. She even ends her confessional with sticking the middle finger up at the camera, child. Dorit. Not only don't I have no grace to give, she don't even have an F to give. Dorit has had it. Child, at this point, she wraps it up and she tells everybody goodbye. And she says, at this point in confessional, she says she needs to have a voice, and she's no longer that girl that you've seen the last 2 years. She's bigger, better, stronger. And like I said, she proceeds to flip the camera off with her I don't give a F attitude. And apparently, y'all, we're going to see a whole lot more of that this season. So we're going to stay tuned. I am here for it, to be honest. So at this point, we go over and we get a chance to check in with Bozama St. John, honey. We come to find out that Bozama means goddess in Ghanan, which, listen, let me just say this. She is so intriguing to watch. She's not only gorgeous, but she's so accomplished, y'all. And for me, such a welcome addition. And the feedback that I'm seeing from the fan groups, everyone is here for Bose. I am. I mean, she's bringing so much to the table. Her resume is far past impressive, honey. We find out that she has a 25-year history in corporate America. Forbes had named her #1 most influential CMO in the country. Ebony is one of the most powerful executives in the world, child. Her accolades go on and on. Since she retired, she's been doing podcasts, workshops, advocacy. And, everyone had asked her before, how do you get that corner office? So she's made it her mission to share that with the masses. And she's doing her badass workshop. That's her thing. And she has a lot of folks that are there to hear her speak and to pour into them, to, share with them how that she achieved her success and kind of what her advice is at this point. And she tells them that she negotiated the deal for PepsiCo with the NFL, that it was her that negotiated PepsiCo being the sponsor for the halftime show. Child, that's a big deal. Listen, sis has it going on. At that point, she lets us know that shortly thereafter, she found out that her husband, who is Peter Daniel St. John, who was a redheaded Italian descent guy that she said, just didn't fit what she initially was looking for in her Prince Charming. Y'all, isn't that the best? more of us, when we're looking for our Prince Charming, sometimes we need to open our eyes past what we would typically go for. And she says this guy was everything for her. He was the gold chain rocking Italian descent guy that didn't even have any black friends, and yet became her husband and her Prince Charming. Um, but she talks about, and she has a daughter named Lael that who's 15 now. She found out a year later after negotiating that big deal that um, she was up for review, and that they said that she just hadn't hit enough home runs, and that was because her husband had passed away of cancer. And she I'm sorry guys, let me answer this real quick. He found out he had terminal cancer, y'all, and then 3 months later he had passed away. And it was then that she was up for review at her position, and they were like, "You're just not hitting enough home runs right now." And it was then she decided to walk away from corporate America and build her own brand. And that she did. And she's trying to empower others to do the same, to find the things that they want to do. She's happy in her retirement, extremely successful, multimillionaire, and in a wonderful addition to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So kudos to them for bringing her on, like I said. And I don't think we're looking at a one and done. I think that she's going to be a great addition for some time. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm loving every bit of what she's bringing. So then we go over, and Kyle and Sutton have decided to meet up for lunch. And Sutton talks to her about Sutton's talking about last year's accusations, how everybody was coming for Sutton about her drinking or accusing her of drinking. And the producer asked her, why now then have you decided to trust Kyle? And she was like, who? I never said I trust Kyle. But Sutton is taking the stance that, look, I've been through a separation, I've been through a divorce, and Kyle needs my support, and I want to support Kyle. And she does. Now we're seeing Sutton really step in and really be in there for Kyle. So with that being said, they're having lunch. Kyle shows up with a beautiful bag that she got in Saint-Tropez. And Sutton asked her, when did you get that? And she tells her, well, I was on vacay in Saint-Tropez. And she was like, was that your last family vacation? And Kyle's kind of like, maybe. I don't know. Y'all, is it just me, or do you get the sense that Kyle has not fully processed what a divorce looks like, what the finality of the two of them really moving on and going their separate ways? Because to me, it seems like she's still lulled into this false sense of, we're going to stay best friends. And look, some people do. So I'm not saying that she's far-fetched. She knows Mo and what they've built together, but Sutton is trying to persuade Kyle to be smart, to go ahead and file that way, to protect herself that way. Anything after the file date that she does that gains, any kind of monetary gain, that is hers. It's no longer marital assets. And so Sutton is just trying to be there for her girl, honey, and make sure she's smart. But Kyle seems to still be in that bubble of, oh no, we're family. Oh no, we're everything that we have is 50-50, You look, I've seen it. I am a divorcee. It can get nasty. And Sutton gave her some good advice, child. I just don't think she was ready to receive it. So over at Boz's house, she's preparing for a visit from Dorit and Erica. And she was talking to her assistant as she's preparing. Y'all, her mansion was fab, okay? Not necessarily my type of hype, but fab nonetheless, honey. The textures, the grandness of it. It is everything that you want to see when you're looking at a housewife on Beverly Hills. Child, she is bringing it, okay? So they come over. On the ride over, Dorit's telling Erica how quickly she felt bonded with Bose, and that, in no time she was giving her the intimate details of what was going on between her and PK. And so Dorit and Erica get to the house. Bose meets them at the door and asks them to remove their shoes. And honey, Dorit and her pretentiousness at times was like, I'm going to take these Chanel mules off only because this is Bose, honey. She was like, otherwise I wouldn't have worn them because these Chanel mules just is a part of the whole overall outfit. But she's like, she's gonna make an exception for Miss Bose. And I'm thinking, if you coming up in her mansion, you will. Okay. Bose gives balls, honey. So look, if she tells you to take them shoes off, take your shoes off. You see Erica got them heels off quick. Okay. At any route, the house is fabulous. She takes them to a beautiful outdoor space and they sit and talk. And Erica gets right to it. And she asks Bose, what did you think of everybody? And she lets them know that before the party, she had already met with Sutton. Sutton had invited her to the surrealist party. And she let Bose know that everyone was coming. And she had kind of already given Bose a little bit of the background of the beef between Kyle and Dorit. So Dorit lets her know that Kyle basically isolated her. And Bose asks, well, what was she mad at her for exactly? And Dorit shrugs. And so she gives us 3 different grievances that Kyle had, honey. Grievance 1 was she asked about her marriage when they were on camera, when they were supposed to be good friends. Grievance number 2 was she says when Dorit says she thought Kathy needed some support, which made her believe she wanted to be on the side of what the audience wanted. And grievance number 3 was BravoCon when Dorit joked about who was her favorite Richard's sister. So Dorit's like, at this point, she just believes that Kyle is grasping at straws. And Bose says, well, what happens now? Like, where do y'all go from here? Because at the party, Kyle stomped off. And Dorit said, well, she thinks Kyle came into the conversation, thinking she was going to do what she typically does, which is make her feel bad for her. And then, Dorit would routinely at that point get over it. And Dorit's like, look, I'm not here doing that anymore. I'm done with that. I'm over that. Back over at Sutton and Kyle, Sutton asks, well, she wants Kyle's side. What happened at the party? And Kyle says that she went into there thinking that she could stay calm, get her point across, and be able to get to the other side of things. But she said Dorit did not come in like that. No. And like we said, Dorit was activated, honey. She wasn't here for it. Kyle said she pulled away from Dorit in reaction to things that she had been doing. Okay. And Sutton asked if she missed her, and Kyle said right now she was too angry to do that because the girl that was sitting across from her that night wasn't nice. In confessional, Kyle says that she has a lack of trust with Dorit and that Dorit lacks accountability or self-awareness, and she seems to be completely oblivious to anyone else's feelings but her own. Y'all, did y'all sit there like I did and want to throw something at your TV? Excuse me, what, Kyle? Because typically that's you. Now, my thoughts on Kyle, and I've watched her since season 1, and it seems like anytime someone calls Kyle out, she's reduced to tears. She can't take it. She can't, oh, it's my fault. Why is everything my fault? She just seems to be very low on emotional intelligence. I mean, accountability is just not Kyle's strong point. And I'm not just going to harp on the things between her and her sisters. Her and Kathy get into it a lot. But even in friend groups, her and Lisa Vanderpump fell out. Honey, y'all can agree with me and let me know how you feel in the comments, but I believe that she really wanted Lisa Vanderpump gone because she couldn't match Vanderpump's energy. In the beginning, you had Lisa Vanderpump and Adrienne Maloof. They were the big dogs, the money. And in the beginning of Beverly Hills, Mauricio wasn't the big real estate titan that he is now. Okay. So as she began to climb the echelon, climb the ladder as, with more money and prestige, that's when she felt most comfortable. And, she felt like she could kind of get with the Lisa Vanderpumps, and Lisa just kind of was not acknowledging her in the way she wanted. Kyle throws tantrums. Kyle wants to be the center girl. She wants to be the it girl of Beverly Hills. And I really felt like, anytime someone challenges her, she just can't seem to handle it. That's my take, my opinion. Y'all let me know what you think. So she said that she tells Sutton that you don't get to say how hurt you are and you felt pushed away when you made that bed. Now you have to lie in it. And Sutton's kind of like, oh, okay. And so that's how that scene ends. Then back over at Dorit, she says that she feels with Kyle, there are two sets of rules. A set of rules for her and a set of rules for everyone else. And then she further states there seems to be a set of rules for her and a different set of rules for Dorit. So Erica says, Erica, I don't know what y'all feel about Switzerland Erica, but Erica is coming in very neutral this season. She says that she can see both sides and where each one of them are coming from. And both have been really going through some hard stuff at home. In confessional, she says Kyle and Dorit are both going through separations and they're at each other's throats. Meanwhile, and she had a good point with this, PK and Mo can run off and be besties, going out having drinks together, just chilling. And she's like, and here they are fighting. Like, how did it happen? So Erica asked Dorit, how's it going with PK? And she says, look, it's been a few tumultuous years. Both ask how she is with the kids. How are they right now? And Dorit says that they think that daddy's working and he's staying at a hotel because of work. And both like, that must be really hard that you have to kind of keep up this pretense. And Dorit says, no, this has kind of been how we've been operating for a few years. He would drink, they would get into fight, he would bounce and be gone for, she said, weeks at a time. And so she would then tell the kids that, he was gone. That's what they're used to. And so to be quite honest, their lives really aren't disrupted much because that was the norm for a while. And, Erica in confessional says she's really sorry Dorit was going through that and how hard it must be to suffer in silence because apparently, Dorit was painting a picture that she had this perfect life when in fact, he wasn't even there. So Bose says, so are you waiting to see what happens in your marriage before you tell the kids? Because, honey, it seems to be kind of like a hot topic for Bose and me, to believe that your children aren't going to notice that there's trouble in paradise. And I've said this once, and I'll say it again. Kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for. Those children are going to notice, and I'm sure they noticed when they were fighting, when he was drinking and he would leave for weeks, that it wasn't really for work. I don't think they give their kids enough credit. Sometimes we don't. And I think Bose was kind of like leaning into, girl, are you sure you don't want to have a conversation with your kids? Because they probably know more than you let on. I mean, that's what I feel too. And you guys let me know what you think. So back over in Bel Air, we have Sutton back at her place, and Avi is preparing pizza kits because Sutton has had the idea. She contacted Kathy to have her, Kathy, and Erica go surprise Kyle, and they're going to bring pizza kits so they can make pizza. Kathy's going to bring PJ, so they just have like a girls' night. Because Sutton, as she stated before, she wants to be there for Kyle now. She really wants to give Kyle some support. And she lets the ladies know, because Erica and Kathy come to the house as they're preparing the pizza kits. She lets them know that Kyle, when she talked to Kyle, Kyle was down, because Mauricio had taken down a photo of him and Kyle and replaced it with a photo of him and his co-star on Dancing with the Stars. Y'all, that's crazy. Sutton says, if it was me, I'd be like, bye-bye, Mo. So would I. Child, if we taking down pictures and replacing it with pictures of you and another woman, it's time for you to leave the house, bruh. It's time for you to get gone. And I mean, we find out Mauricio has left now, but he'd have been gone had that have been me. If we're comfortable enough to be putting whole pics up with other women, then we're comfortable enough to go stay somewhere else. I really feel like Kyle is just lulled into this false sense of her and Mauricio are still a thing, not romantically per se, but sometimes it's deeper than that. We rely on our partners for many things. It's not just a romance or whatever. It's just a whole. I just feel like she depends on him a lot. And I think that she in her mind truly believes that despite whether they coexist in the same home or separate homes, that, somehow he's still her person in a way. Y'all let me know if you think I'm way off with this, but it doesn't seem to be registering in her head. Last season, she seemed to be all for it, all for her independence, all for getting away from Mo because she seemed to be pretty much wrapped up with Morgan. And, some say that was for a storyline. I'm not sure. I think that Morgan was giving her the attention and the feelings that she had missed from Mo. And I feel like when she was in the throes of that, she just wasn't as tuned in. And now that she's kind of whatever's going on with Morgan Wade, and I don't know, seems to have cooled off some, that maybe even though she acknowledges they're separated, I don't think she fully really has processed what a divorce would mean. My thoughts. Y'all let me know what you think. At any rate, Sutton, Erica, and Kathy head over to Kyle's. Y'all, I love Kathy Hilton. I do. And it was this scene that just solidifies why. So when they're going over there trying to make a plan on how they're going to surprise Kyle, and Kathy decides, let's try to get in by saying we're Amazon. We're delivering something from Amazon. And Kathy volunteers to be the Amazon voice of the driver. Y'all, it was so funny when she was practicing. Kathy is just a good comedic relief. And what I think is even funnier to me is she loves pranking Kyle in that regard because Kyle's her little sister. It's that cute big sister, little sister thing. It's funny. She knows it just, y'all, loved it. Loved that moment. Cute moment. She goes up to the gate and she's like, Amazon. And Kyle has no clue. It's Kathy describing her voice. Y'all, it might have been silly, but I was here for it. I thought it was funny and a great scene. But they basically, the ladies come in, they rally, they make pizzas, they talk about how Kyle is feeling, and again, they basically tell her about protecting herself and making sure that she is trying to get some legal counsel. And you've got Sutton that's been through it. Sutton came out with her $350K a month, child. I would be listening with both ears, both eyes, both hands, both feet, my mouth open. Anything Sutton said, I would be receiving because Sutton walked away okay. Erica, she's been through it, and Kathy, as a sister, wants her to be smart. And that was that. Basically, Kathy tried to throw a jab at Mo about saying that Kyle basically looked like his daughter and that Mauricio was aging. Child, Kathy is not Mo's biggest fan. If you watched Mauricio's show, Selling Beverly Hills, you got a little bit of that beef between him and his new firm versus Hilton and Highland, which is Kathy's husband's. And we find out then how they broke apart and he started his own, and how he's had brought some of the employees with him and all that beef. So Kathy's not a Mo fan. And I think that's obvious. And Kyle's under the stance that I don't need you to tear him down to make me feel better. So, like I said, y'all, I don't think she's fully let go of Mo yet. And I just Yeah, I think the door's still a little cracked there. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But then, y'all, the last scene is we see PK and Dorit, and they're getting ready to have dinner. And she wants to talk. Apparently, it's only been a little bit since they've officially decided to separate. We find out PK is sober now, which we knew that. She notices he's bought new clothes. He gets up. When she walks in the restaurant, they greet each other. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I got the new garb. He gets up and shows her. And he's like, this is single PK. And Dorit's like, I just don't know if he realizes how hurtful it is for him just 24 hours later to be all leaned in to being single PK. But they decide to sit down and kind of talk things through. PK did a lot of the talking, and I think he probably needed that. We find out that two things that I took away from this conversation, and you guys let me know what you think. PK talks about how it's gotten to the point where they just don't like each other. And Dorit keeps saying, do you not like me now? And he's like, don't interrupt. And he's trying to get his point across. And he's like, when you're in that way, when you're talking down to me, or, no, I don't like you. And we find out their arguments have gotten to the point where they really low blow each other, where they just talk very, very condescending, ugly, and just toxic together at this point. But two things I took away, and you guys let me know. One, he talks about how when he met Dorit was this young woman that loved him, loved being out with him. He was the breadwinner. He was the leader. She was happy to give him the spotlight. He mentioned that, he was number one, that the husband was number one, and then even with having children, that he felt like he should be number one than the kids. But I think he was trying to insinuate that once they had children, he was no longer the center of her world. Child, listen. But, I guess he misses that. And he did also make the comment that when they're arguing and the things that she had said about him or to him made him feel less than. And so, and she's like, look, you've never said it to me that way. And I guess in the blow up or the anger or the heat of their arguments, he's used words like emasculate or, there's been profanity thrown back. But I think for the first time, she heard him when he said, when we get into these arguments and the way that you speak to me, it makes me feel less than. Here I was, this virile, successful man who you seem to adore, reduced down to now when we talk. And that was real. I felt that. But that's how couples grow apart. I mean, she's not the young girl that used to hero worship you now. She's a grown woman. She's a grown woman that's evolved. She's a mother. And, to me, it seems like PK is happy moving on. Dorit mentions how they talk 5 times a day, and he's like, yeah, but that's going to stop. And we're going to break this codependency that we have. And you see Dorit still kind of processing. So I don't know, y'all. I mean, that's pretty much how the scene ended. They get ready to get out of the restaurant, what have you. And now I'm pondering on both Kyle and Dorit. They both seem a little deer in headlights on their separation and the future of their marriages. Y'all let me know what you thought of the episode and what you think. I mean, if PK was receptive, it sounds like the two of them could work through their issues in therapy. Because I don't think that they were really listening to each other. But it seems like to me, PK has made up his mind that he's ready to move on. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments, y'all. I thought it was a good episode. Y'all let me know what y'all thought. And I just want to take some time to say happy Thanksgiving. I am going to drop another video a little later today on the 90-day Fiance the Other Way Tell-All, parts 1 and 2 with myself and Big Nige, who is with me here today for Thanksgiving. A little secret, y'all. Big Nige is my youngest child. But he's a content creator within his own right. And we collab and do that recap together, which I love. And so we want to bring y'all our thoughts on Tell All Part 1 and Part 2. But at this point, y'all, that was the episode. And I want to hear from you guys on how you think Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is shaking out. What do you think of those? We got to learn a little more about her. What do you think about the friendship of Dorit and Kyle? Who you rocking with? And now that we got a little bit more context, what are your thoughts? Yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think of the future of PK and Dorit? Do you think PK is finished and out? Do you think Kyle is going to smarten up and talk to an attorney and protect herself? Do you think Dorit really is getting that PK appears to be done? Y'all let me know. All right, guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. We recently picked up a few more subscribers over the weekend. Thank you so much. If you haven't, you guys, yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll know when we go live and drop new content. Also, guys, be on the lookout for my new channel that's coming in December, Perspectives with Sherry, which is a channel dedicated to ladies like myself over 40. And we're going to grow together, learn, talk through our issues, and it's a good, safe space for women in midlife. So, guys, that's what I got for you. So I want you to have a wonderful day. I'm about to get in that kitchen and start rocking them pots and pans, child. I got collard greens to clean. I got all kinds of stuff to cook. But I am going to see you a little later this evening and drop some content for the 90-day fiance the other way. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Have a blessed one.